So, Munchie Mafia, let's start this over. We're making gluten-free cookies. And before we start, I'm going to go through all the stuff that I use, and then I'm going to explain the reason why I use several different flours instead of just one so-called all-purpose gluten-free. Let's see, let's start with the flours. Now, not all the flours are alike, and I'll tell you why. Um, this one here is Jessica's Natural Foods, and I get this on Amazon. The ingredients is whole grain teff flour. Teff is a native grass to Ethiopia. It's gluten-free and contains a lot of really, really awesome minerals and stuff. And it's just a great product. One of the things that the Ethiopians use it for is what's called injera, which is like a really spongy, sour flatbread. And it's real soft. And basically, they eat it with their stews and stuff, and they'll tear off a piece and dip it in there and use that as like a spoon of sorts. Um, it's really good stuff. It's a little on the sour side. It almost tastes like it's got like some vinegar in it, but uh, it sits and ferments overnight, and it gets a little bit of a sour taste to it, but it's really, really good stuff. So then this also has certified gluten-free wheat flour, tapioca flour, ground flaxseed, and xanthan gum. Now, when it comes to making gluten-free cookies, a lot of these will have the xanthan gum already in it, so you don't have to add it, but I always have like a big bag of it anyway. This one here is Bob's Red Mill whole grain oat flour, and this is just whole grain oats. Bob's Red Mill is like the Cadillac of flours. They even carry the two different colors of teff. There's an ivory and then there's the red. I strongly suggest trying it, and that's mainly why I got Jessica's, is because it contains some of it, but it's not all teff, because it kind of gets a little gummy when you try to mix in with ratios, is what I found for like baked goods like cookies. It gets a little gummy. Okay, and then there's this one here, which is Mama's Almond Blend. And this one here has rice flour, tapioca starch, potato starch, and almonds. Allergen alert, contains almonds. Um, a lot of these multi-purpose ones, the first ingredient is going to be what the majority of it contains, and that's going to be the rice flour. And that's why a lot of the times after 2 or 3 days, gluten-free cookies go a little kind of gritty and almost tastes like you're eating sand in your cookies. Um, so what I usually recommend is playing with your ratios. If you have a gluten-free flour that you like, stick with it. But what I'm going to suggest is try taking some of that out and adding like a whole oat flour, or even like this one here, for example, Jessica's, which does not contain the rice flour. So that's that for right now. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about is xanthan gum, and this is a huge bag. A little bit goes a long way, and oh no, I'm sorry, wrong one. All right, big bag right here, xanthan gum. This is xanthan gum, and what it does is it acts as a binder. You could also use this to help keep sauces from breaking. Like if you're going to be doing like a gluten-free gravy or a sauce like beurre blanc, or even hollandaise, you could put a little bit of this in and whisk it in really good to help stabilize it. So it's more of a stabilizer than anything. I am going to put just a little titch of it into this because I don't know exactly how much xanthan gum is in here based on their ratios, because it shows here that it's wrong one. This one here, is this it? Yeah, it's listed as the last one. Now, one of the other problems with some of these other flours is that, for example, ground flaxseed, it absorbs a lot of the moisture. So I'm going to show you how to get away from all that nonsense. Doesn't always happen, but it happens a majority of the time. That's why I have my own ratios. Now, what we're also going to use, this giant bag that I thought was my xanthan gum, because I usually buy a bag this size anyway, is what's known as organic coconut sugar. We're going to use some of that with erythritol, and this is erythritol. This is a 0-calorie sugar substitute, and it actually works really well in baked goods. Some of the other ones like Swerve or Stevia, and so forth, they tend to leave a little bit of an off-putting flavor in your mouth. Sometimes when they're heated up a certain temperature, some of that sweetness actually dies. Let's see here, because we already have the chocolate chips, but we're also going to supplement with just a slight bit of regular brown sugar. Let's see here. Today we're going to do chocolate chip cookies. And then another thing is that if you are allergic to eggs, which I know that some people are allergic to eggs, there's this stuff that you can get in the dairy department at most grocery stores, and it comes in a little, like what looks like a little clear juice bottle with a black top on it. It's called Just Egg. That actually works really well as an egg substitute for those that have an allergy to eggs, and it's plant-based. Mind you, even though I have the experience to do fitness meal prep and all that other stuff, I am not doing this because of keto or any other diet. This is just, my husband is diabetic, and so I try my best to find other ways so that he can enjoy those sweets, so he's not, you know, eating everything and anything that's got, like, too much sugar, and he ends up, later on down the road losing a leg or two. And also another thing about the gluten-free flours, make sure that they actually say gluten-free. Like they will have like a little certification thingy that says certified gluten-free, and also non-GMO verified whenever possible. The reason why is because people with celiac can sometimes experience issues with stuff like oat flour, because sometimes a lot of these are milled and manufactured in the same plant as where they do wheat flours and barley and rye and stuff like that. So always look for that certified gluten-free on your package. Don't just grab anything and say, oh, it's oat flour, and just grab it and get home, and somebody's not feeling good later. First off, and this is a recipe that I actually developed. I spent a year and a half working on my own gluten-free cookie recipes, and I also have a blondies and a brownie and some other fun stuff, and some stuff just wasn't winners. So it's like, I'm just back to the drawing board on some of those other baked goods. Let's see. So we're going to start off with 16 ounces of butter. Now, 16 ounces is going to be 4 of these sticks, because each one of these is 4 ounces. So 4 times 4 is 16. See, I can math. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to cream our sugars. And normally, under ideal circumstances, you would want to actually let this dough sit overnight, let it get happy, because that's going to give you the absolute best texture, especially when you're having to deal with rice flour. So, okay, so now we got 1 pound of butter in there. That's 4 sticks, one full box. And then we're going to add the sugar. So instead of 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, okay, 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, okay? I'm giving you that so that in case you don't want to deal with doing the reduced sugar ones, you don't have to. So 1.5, except for that with this one, we're going to do, actually, let's do 1/4. All right, so this is how I do it. And this kind of causes what I call a sugar confusion, because we're going to take this, we're going to do 3/4 of a cup of this, the erythritol. I think I need a 12-year-old to hold the bag open for me, huh? Yeah, okay. So that's 3/4 of a cup of erythritol. Then we're going to take the organic coconut sugar, and we're going to do 3/4 of a cup of that. And I'll show you what this stuff looks like. It kind of looks like graham cracker crumbs, but it almost has like a really nice molassesy smell to it. So that's what this looks like. Can you guys see this? Let's see here. So we're going to do 3/4 of a cup. 1/4, 1/2, and another 1/4 equals 3/4. Okay, and then we're going to go with 1.5 cups of packed brown sugar. So basically half of the sugars is being replaced by another substitute. Now with the coconut palm sugar, it has less carbohydrates and less sugars per gram, but on the glycemic index, it's actually better because it takes your body a while to process it, so you're not getting those spiked blood sugars after eating, a plate of cookies. So, all right. So there's that. Now, see how nice and fluffy that looks? Smells really great. I love that coconut palm sugar. So yeah, it doesn't cause major blood sugar spikes. It just nice and gentle sugar, and it also doesn't give you diarrhea like some of the other ones do. So now we're going to do the eggs. 4 eggs. That's whole eggs. I like to bring my eggs to room temperature. And then we're going to add our vanilla extract. The brand that I use is Nielsen and Massey. It's my favorite one. Shoot, I forgot what this was. What was this? Oh, this is the xanthan gum. That's going to be a teaspoon. Then we have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of salt. Get those out of the way. We're just going to let this go whirly, 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 whirly. I keep forgetting this part comes off. And leaves this part on. So why do I keep taking the whole thing off? I don't know. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Jessica's gluten-free all-purpose flour, which contains teff and tapioca flour, ground flaxseed, and xanthan gum. But because it's got ground flaxseed, the way that I originally wrote this recipe out was 1.5 cups of oat flour. So we're actually going to break that down by putting in a half cup of the Jessicas with the teff. Teff is also high in magnesium, which is good. It's good to have some slightly healthy cookies. At least, you know, doesn't feel as guilty. I don't feel nearly as guilty. Okay. And then we're going to finish off. Make sure this is the oat flour and not xanthan gum. I could just see myself do that and open up the oven. I'm like, what the hell is that? What the hell happened here? Okay, so now we got the Mama's Almond Blend flour. And this one is going to be 4 cups worth. And the thing that I love about this Mama's Almond Blend flour is the smell of it. It just smells nice. Now, this is not what you would want to use for French macarons. You're going to want to not use this stuff because this is just not going to work out for you. Okay, that's one cup. Goodness gracious. Here we go. Now, one of the things about baking and pastry is that it is something that you can't really do a lot of guesswork in because it's more of a science than it is culinary is, whereas culinary is a little bit more forgiving. Baking and pastry is not as forgiving. Because it just doesn't, things won't rise properly, or they'll be as hard as a brick, or it won't fluff up, you know. 2 cups. Two and a half. Three cups. Okay. All right, now we're just gonna slowly let this thing do its thing. Usually what I recommend with other mixers is to add a cup of the flour at a time, but this thing is a workhorse. I could just literally dump everything in it and just let it do its thing, and everything comes out beautiful for the most part. And what I strongly recommend doing is when you're making a big batch of cookies, to just, you know, bake off enough to last a few days and put the rest in the freezer. You know, you can use one of those ice cream scoopers to scoop them out, layer them out on a little balls out on a sheet pan, put them in the freezer, and then after they've firmly set, then you just transfer them over to plastic baggies or Cambro if you use Cambros. I like Cambros. Cambros are great. Okay, so this is a little too wet for my liking. Give it a taste. Just put the rest of that in there. And that's one thing, is if you taste your cookie dough, you're going to notice right away, oh, there's that grittiness that Civi was talking about. All right. I like Silpats, and that's what this is. This is a Silpat, and this is a full, a real half sheet pan. I like these a lot better than the ones that you buy at like Walmart. It's just really cheap because you can actually get the pan extenders. I have one. I think it's still on the front porch when I emptied my car out. kind of left some of my stuff out there, but this way you can actually make real sized half sheet pan cakes. Full size sheet pans do not usually fit in residential ovens, much to my dismay, because I would be like hoarding those like crazy just because I love sheet pans. These ones actually last a lot longer. These ones, on the average, if you're taking good care of them, they usually last for about 250 uses before they start to warp. And that's why I like them so much. So we're just going to bake off some cookies. We're going to stick these in the oven. There we go. Minutes. Yeah, magic number's 13. Gander at these. Oh yeah, they're looking pretty. Pretty. And I don't know if any of you all have had gluten-free cookies before, but those things, a lot of them, they taste like, oh my God, why? I need a kitchen remodel. A lot of the cookies that are out there are just forms of punishment in a lot of ways, you know? So I took great pride in how do I make these cookies stand out from everybody else's. Okay. Thermometer. And instead of, playing the guessing game, is it done? Is it not done? Is it overdone? I like to do a temp reading on my cookies. Ow, 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 ow. Yes, those are done. So, ow. That hurt. All right. My towel must be damp. All right, so here we go. How do those look, guys? See how they have a lot of loft to them? Some of the gluten-free cookies that are out there, they look really flat and sad. These ones look like little pillows of goodness. They smell delicious. We're going to let those cool off because I don't want a third-degree burn on the roof of my mouth. Just set that aside. We'll crack one open in a moment and I'll show you what it looks like. Is what they look like on the inside. Let's see here. Let's see if I can line it up with the camera. Whoop! Oh shit! Better pick that up. Let's see here. Oh crap! I don't know. Can you see that? See how nice and fluffy they look? And they got the right crumb texture to it. And don't forget, cook with love and eat with passion. Be kind to yourself and go out and do something fun this weekend. Have a good night. Love you.
If you haven't yet subscribed to Munchie Mafia Official, now is that time. What's stopping you?